So, a new God of War is in development at Sony Santa Monica. Apparently, it could be a reboot, quote-unquote reboot, but it's not going to be a prequel. It's not going to be a prequel, thank God. No pun intended. Well, maybe pun intended, because we're talking about Kratos here. Kratos' games, but, oh my god. Holy shit, guys. This is going to be another reboot, though. You know, I'll be honest, I think compared between a reboot and a prequel, I might rather have a fucking prequel than a reboot, because, at least with a prequel, you see a different story, something else that adds to the storyline of God of War. I don't like the idea of having too many prequels. That's why, you know, Ascension to me was not an important game to have. And you see all the other games, like, you know, the PSP games, the two games that came out on the PSP, and all these different sequels that would come out just to tie into the storyline. But I think when you keep going back, further back, it just gets so lame, because it feels like they have to, okay, let's move even further back in the damn story and make up more shit, and, you know, try to tie that in with the other games that already came out that are set in the game's future anyway. So it feels like they're working backwards. It doesn't feel like a progression in the storyline. It's just my own personal gripe against prequels. But in terms of having a reboot, I think even a reboot is even worse. Usually, most of the time, I feel like a reboot is worse, because a reboot is essentially an unoriginal idea. It is just, instead of using the word reboot, rehash. It's a fucking rehash. Let's face the facts. It's a freaking rehash. That's the main problem I have, okay, with having a reboot. Because you're just using the same damn storyline, but then you're adding a new twist to it, or some kind of new modernization to it, where, okay, now the God of War is rebooted, and you basically just replaced the original storyline and the original situation and the characters and the stuff that happened. And you're gonna add some new shit to it, you're gonna do something different to it, and it's gonna be like, whether it's aesthetically, you know, changing around the character's design, their model. Hell, Kratos could look completely different after this stupid game is developed. You know, they could switch up the story where they change some elements here and there. You know, oh, it's not because of this, it's because of this. Kratos, you know, he fought Ares again, but this time Ares looks completely different, and his motives are different, and it's a completely separate, you know, it's a different thing now. He's not invading Athens, or whatever, you know, whatever the hell that city was in the first God of War, and, you know, it's something different. It's Ares actually was Kratos' brother, or, you know what I mean? They always change some shit around. But as far as this game itself in development, you know, it's Sony Santa Monica. It was actually leaked, or somebody named Cory Barlog. Oh yeah, Cory Barlog. This guy worked on the God of War games. I remember him. He's the creative director. He let slip today at the PlayStation Experience event in Las Vegas. Cory Barlog confirmed that the game was in development in response to a question from a fan during the God of War retrospective panel. According to a tweet from Santa Monica Studios' official account, he probably wasn't supposed to. Santa Monica Studio tweeted out that, "Don't tell anyone what Cory Barlog just said. Hashtag PlayStation Experience, hashtag God of War." Apparently there's gonna be, another year or two with this development, because, I mean, it is nowhere near obviously ready, because it's very early on. I'm sure they're just starting out with a fucking game. God of War 3 director Stig Asmussen left Sony Santa Monica back in March. He did not work on God of War Ascension, and the last game that came out was in 2013, which was Ascension, and was reportedly leading development on a new IP that Sony cancelled as part of a round of layoffs. I remember all that shit. I remember that was like some other new game, and Sony they canned it. It was like, okay, well, screw this. I guess they were losing money or something, I don't know. A new God of War, and it's gonna be a reboot, supposedly, most likely. I mean, I love God of War, most of the games anyway. Ascension, I don't give a shit about Ascension, but it just feels like a franchise that has reached its peak, has run its course, has basically achieved everything that it could possibly do in terms of action-adventure. It's still a big name, obviously, Kratos, a very popular character, but I feel like God of War is no longer interesting. It's no longer, not even innovative, but it doesn't have the same impact it used to. It's become very easy to predict what kind of stuff they'll feature. The gameplay is very similar in the games. It feels very familiar. The moves, the attacks, the combos, the enemies get really repetitive. Even the storyline it becomes so weird and convoluted. It's become this soap opera bullshit. That's what I don't like about it. It's all these Greek characters and shit, all these, I should say, Greek mythology characters, but everybody's like a weird, evil version. And then you got this fake added character named Kratos, who is obviously not in the original Greek mythology. They just kind of shoehorn him in as, okay, well, this guy's the new character that kills everybody. I don't know, it's such an odd thing. And then now you have a reboot, and I'm just not interested. It doesn't seem something that I would want to buy for a Sony game, because, again, it feels like God of War... To me, God of War ended with God of War 3. Maybe not in the best way, it didn't have the best ending, it didn't have the best... closure type of ending where you felt like, okay, that was good, there's a lot of closure there, and that was a very definitive ending. No, they had a fucking hook. They had, I don't want to say a cliffhanger, but it was like his body was there, he stabbed himself, and then the credits roll, you see the ending, the credits, and then his body's no longer there. Somebody took it away, or it disappeared. And it just feels like they're stretching it out. They're stretching out the franchise. They want to make more money off of it because it's popular. Just like with Street Fighter V and all these other franchises. Tomb Raider, all these other things that they stretch and they continue to install new games so that they could keep making money off of it. It's a cash cow. Assassin's Creed, all these fucking games, they're just there because they were established, they became popular, and then now it's like, okay, we'll just add a new game every few years so that we can make money off of the name. The game doesn't even have to be that good. It could be a very decent game, mediocre game, something like that, but it doesn't have to be an amazing game anymore for people to buy it. And that's the main problem with an old franchise, or a franchise that is getting old, that has become not fucking good anymore. It kind of reaches its peak, it's past its prime, it's done. And I think they should just work on something new. Maybe a sequel to, I don't know, Heavenly Sword. Maybe that one. Maybe they need to bring that one back. I know Heavenly Sword was not nearly as successful as God of War, obviously, and it was basically just, it was a female God of War, a chick version, for the PS3 system, and I think they try to make something new. They try to install something. So they tried to establish this Heavenly Sword game, but it just never caught on. It never became big, and so people were like, ah, who gives a shit? And rightfully so. I mean, Heavenly Sword is not a good game. It's nothing special. I think it's okay. It's an average hack and slash type of game. Nowhere near the level of quality of God of War, obviously. I mean, I guess if the reboot is good, it's that damn good, it might be worth checking out. But just on that principle of making it a reboot in the first place, so there goes the originality. There's no more, it's not gonna be something new, it's gonna be the same fucking story, but just done with current graphics and you know, a current, or I should say a current gen engine, a current gen system. And God of War wasn't even that long ago if you think about it. I mean, it came out in 2005, which is 9 years ago, so I mean, granted, you know, you're talking about a better part of a decade since the first one. I can't even believe it's been, oh my god, 2005. That's amazing. It is. That is a pretty long time. I take that back. But it's, you know, it's nothing like a Mario. It's nothing like, I think even Call of Duty is older than God of War. Yeah, COD. COD is like what, 04, something like that. 2004, maybe 2003. GTA obviously much older. So, meh. Thanks for watching The Review Space, the most underrated channel on YouTube. For more videos, check out youtube.com/TheReviewSpace.